Welcome to the Round Table. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is my co-host Mike Hill and our producer Dan Smelser.
Yay for Dan.
Hey, welcome Dan. And then our guest of honor is Tracy Adkins.
Of honor. Yes. Of honor. That is a good way to describe you.
We are so excited.
Yeah.
So excited.
And she's excited.
Yes, she's so excited. She has waited like...
No.
Okay, your favorite movie. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, I don't have favorite movies.
Favorite TV show?
Do you watch
See, already you're just stumping me.
Wait a second. You don't watch any movies?
Not
Never.
movies. I watch a lot of series. I'd be ashamed to tell you how many series I've watched in the last 3 years.
Like through Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
what is that? Like, what's the favorite one?
Probably don't want to tell you.
Why?
I don't know.
I
it
want to know.
bad?
What is it?
Probably my favorite one lately would be Outlander. I know that's not that
I've never
great
heard of
a
that one.
but
Is it like a Western movie?
yeah.
Western show?
Gosh, and there's another one that was so good. I can't tell you the name of it, though. So good, I forgot. I don't know.
Outlander.
I watch a lot of TV.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have to go look that one up.
Good.
So what is one of the funniest memories at the daycare? So Tracy has a daycare in her home, so she always has funny stories.
Oh, you should have given me this list before I
I just thought of it like 5 minutes before I walked down here, so.
Oh my gosh, I don't know that they're funny. A lot of gross memories.
Yeah, but see, people like gross things. They think it's funny.
I've had people pull up in the drive and not put the car in park, and while they're walking across my porch, the car hit my fence. Like, what was that? I've had, I've been going to an appointment. People are dropping kids off. My daughters were there watching them. And as I'm backing out the driveway, and it's snowing and it's whatever degrees, someone forgot their 2-year-old on the front porch. They took their other 3 in.
No, they didn't.
Didn't notice the 2-year-old didn't go with them. I would love to tease her about that. She's left her kids many places. I had to get out of the car and go. I'm like, did you notice that you're missing one? That's when you know you have too many kids.
When you leave one on the porch.
Paul taught one to juggle. He's a juggler. He was funny. He juggled the whole time he was at the house all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Chandler, I opened the bathroom door one day, and Chandler and his friend were in the bathroom, and there was soaking wet wabs of toilet paper stuck all over the ceiling and the walls and on top of his head, and it was running down in his eyes. He'd been dipping it in the toilet and throwing it.
Oh.
And I said, "What are you doing?" And he looked at me and goes, "Mama, I'm so freezing." I'm like, oh. I had to take them both to the bathtub.
Oof.
You know, that's one of those things where you just like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
I don't even, just shut the door. It's out of order. So,
Yeah, toilet water. Yeah, I mean, you got a sink there, but you might as well just dip it in toilet water.
Well, if it's been flushed, what's so bad about it? It's still clean
gross.
water.
Still gross.
It's in that bowl that might be.
No.
Like,
I know.
I'm not a germaphobe, but toilet water?
My girls are germaphobes. They won't even use the downstairs bathroom.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. They're weird.
Yeah. I can remember, like, the whole, like
you use the bathroom at the gas station, but you won't use your mom's because the little kids have been on it.
If you go up and give them a hug or something, they have to pull out their spray and spray themselves down. And Heather Heipel's a germaphobe, too. Like, if you ever want to get to her, just touch her fork when you're out to eat. And she'll have to ask for a new one.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've done that before?
Oh, yeah. It's the tormentor. If you take her out to eat, or you're going out to eat, or you're over at their house, and you touch her anything, she has to get a new one.
Well, I'm not a germaphobe, but I never get sick because I think my immune system's so built
that's
up.
what I said. You stop washing your hands, stop worrying about any of that stuff, and you'll be less
Or have
sick.
10 kids around you all the time with snot. You know.
And you'll build herd immunity.
Yes.
Herd immunity. Did you
Never
shut
heard it
down
called
during
that.
COVID?
No.
Your daycare?
No. Not even a day.
Wow. You were
There's
an
too many
essential
essentials. Yeah.
worker. Yeah.
Too many people with jobs that were essential that they weren't going to stop bringing them.
Right.
My whole block is shut down right now, and they managed to find a way to
Your
still
block
get the kids
shut
there.
down?
Yeah, La Fountain Street. I live right there on the You probably don't even know where I live.
I do know where you live. Real funny. I do know where you live.
Yeah.
I just don't drive downtown. Why is it shut down?
Oh, goodness. Do you really want to hear this story?
Dan knows about it too.
Well, yes.
Over there by the park.
I know where he lives, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where Dan lives. So I know where you live.
He lives behind the forefront office.
I can see their office from my house.
Really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so tell us the big story about how the city sucks.
Well, they're doing a sewer tile from the river up La Fountain and turning east on Tipton. And, we're called the Lime City. So they're hitting tons of limestone and they're having to go down 20 to 30 feet. This is a story I've heard. I don't know. And it's just taking them forever. It's taking them several months to even get to West Park. They're not even to West Park intersection yet. But West Park intersection is...
So your street's going to be
they're-
shut down
yeah.
all summer.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. They were supposed to be in front of my house last
Really?
July.
Oh,
Jennifer's
it's a
over there going, yes.
Well, because when I go to the office, you have to go around and here and there, and you have to really think about where you're going and how you're getting like to the post office. It's crazy.
'Cause-
So I can imagine living there.
Yeah.
Because even on Tipton, there's barricades you can go through, but there's every time they'll have those even shut down. So people can get all
'Cause
the
they're going in front of it,
It's just a
moving-
mess.
well,
It's a mess.
Moving the rerouting stuff to get
Yeah.
prepared for the next crew. So
Yeah.
it's been a headache. And at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the excavator decided to start beating in front of the house and tore up 5 holes in front of my house in the pavement.
At nap
it's
time.
nap time. I could.
Did you go out and tell him?
Nope, I took all 10 kids out on the front porch to wave and yell at them. Yeah. They thought it was awesome. It was like field trip on the front porch.
Yeah, come out and watch the excavator.
Yes, they were
pound
so
holes.
excited to watch it, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So we had a late nap that day.
Yeah.
So as a child, what was your favorite toy?
Why are these questions so hard?
I've never asked a couple of these from anybody before.
My favorite
so
Christmas gift I remember was like a Barbie tent, I think it was.
A what?
Yeah, a tent.
like a
Tent.
pop-up
Yeah.
tent that you could
Yeah.
play in.
Okay.
No, that the Barbies were in.
Oh, okay.
Barbies probably. Played with a lot of Barbies.
Did you really?
My brother had, what's the Indian and the cowboy? I can't think of the names.
Lone Ranger?
Had like a covered wagon with a horse that had wheels on its feet. So you could zoom that, and so they'd take the Barbies for rides.
Oh gosh!
Yeah. His stuff is worse than money, but I think he destroyed the Indian, putting it on a rocket.
Yeah. That's what all good boys do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find a way to blow things
Yeah.
up.
Hula hoop, I used to love to hula hoop.
Can you still hula hoop?
No.
Huh?
I haven't even tried.
Can you hula hoop?
I used to. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Nope.
Dan can't? Come on, Dan. You're like multifaceted. You ought to be able to hula hoop. I bet we got one out here. Too bad we didn't
I've
have
been able
one.
to do it for a
See,
little
try.
bit, not very long.
Tammy had
Everybody
this.
can do
Yeah,
it
well, just
for
remind me.
2
We'll bring one on, and
seconds.
Jennifer can do that before our next podcast.
Okay.
Oh Lord!
Yeah,
I better get
you could do
practice it.
You could do it, and you could introduce the guests at the same time.
My God!
Hey, Jennifer Eller. What? I'm just isn't this how it goes?
Well, yes,
I
but
think
she looked.
you show her how to do it, and then she'll do it. Try.
You don't put your arms up when you're hula?
No.
But, what?
Well, I guess you can.
Yes,
but
you do.
no.
You kind of do. You have to put them out somehow.
Yeah,
I mean,
out a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, we just adding
my
the
gosh.
you're adding the drama in there, the little excitement. Okay, we'll find a hula hoop. I wish we had one now to see Tracy hula hoop.
No,
It would
I'd
be
not
better.
even. I would not even try.
Yes, you would.
Did her on my foot. Like,
You try to act like you're not. You're just kind of subdued. You would do crazy things.
maybe.
Yes, you would.
you are truly one of the craziest people
See?
I know.
That's my point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I don't know many people, but you are.
I don't know very many
So
people,
I'm-
but
No.
you're the
I'm on
craziest.
top
No.
of well, the short
No,
list.
but truly, I mean, all the things that we have done, through women's ministry and events and stuff, and just especially when you and Misty get together. Oh my gosh, the
Yeah,
stories and
we
the
would
things
probably
you
do-
want
we
to
do some
do.
crazy stuff.
You
Yeah.
do. You
See?
are so crazy. So nothing's.
It's her fault. She talks
Maybe
me
you
into
should get
doing
Missy
stuff.
and Tracy on here, and they could both hula hoop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your child, Tracy.
Okay. What?
No, you grew up in a Christian home.
Yes.
Right. All your life.
Yes.
Your parents were.
Went to Lutheran. I went to school at Lutheran till 6th grade.
There's a Lutheran school here?
There was, right? The house I live in, my parents bought when I was 6. So I grew up in that house, and so I walked to school a block away at the Lutheran church, and there was a school. For years, there was a school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then my parents left the Lutheran church or decided to be holy rollers.
Yeah, that story, if you are on our podcast, scroll back and find Jim and Linda's podcast.
Yeah.
Because not much shocks me, but to hear Jim Gould say that he went from a Lutheran church to a Pentecostal church, it still fascinates me that happened.
Yes. Yeah.
Jim Gould as a Pentecostal. Can you imagine that?
They took us from Lutheran, which I am so grateful to have grown up going to Lutheran school.
Yeah.
I had religion class every day.
Yep.
People in my small groups, over the years, I'm shocked at what they don't know about the Bible. Simple stories that you're like, I have taken for granted that I knew and had heard and always learned. The stuff that we were forced to memorize at Lutheran, forced sounds bad, but we had
it's not bad to be
memorization that we had to do every week, and full chapters, we had to memorize. So they took us from that, and then they go to a church where, people are speaking in tongues, and sometimes we had a black piano player. Man, he pounded the keys.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would stand up and scream and run circles around the pews, yelling and hollering and jumping up and down. Then he'd go back to the piano, and as a kid, you're like,
That's what I'm saying. Knowing Jim Gould, right? Like, how would you imagine that Jim and Linda would be Pentecostal?
How long did you go there?
Well, then they decided to put a school in the basement. So they pulled me and Tim out of Lutheran school and shoved us in a basement where there was only me and one other girl in my grade.
Shoved us in a basement.
Where the first day there, some kid was being so awful, and they told him to get in the office, and he grabbed a hold of the pole in the basement, and the secretary grabbed him and yanked him off of there. He knocked her glasses off, and she ripped him. Tim and I are like, oh. But yeah, we did that school for a year and a half. So I went from having 9 kids in my grade from kindergarten, same 9 kids, from kindergarten to 6th. Then I go to that church, and there's like maybe 25 from K to 12. And then they left that church and sent me to Crestview.
Wow.
I was a deer in headlights.
I was going to say, what a shift.
Yes. I was very more shy and quiet, I think. Yeah.
Really? What brought you out of your
shell? I was very nervous to go to Crestview because I knew my neighbor girls, and I walked to school with her every day, but she'd been going with all these kids and knew everybody, and I didn't know nobody. So it was very hard. Once I got to the high school, some of my Lutheran girls were there, and then I started hanging out with them again. But it was rough.
So what brought you out of your shell to the crazy woman you are today?
I just don't know. Being back with the Lutheran girls.
Okay.
Partying with the Lutheran girls.
That made it so you weren't so nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that how it always goes? Isn't that the storyline?
Yes.
Like all the Catholic girls and Lutheran girls, and they go to school and
we partied with
wear
the
skirts
boys.
and put it all up. Then you get together and
Lutheran
party.
girls, and we partied with
they're
Catholic
some of the
boys.
best partiers. Like if you want to party, find the girls that went to
That's
Catholic
where I met
school.
Paul. Party. He was the one.
Paul's like, if I want to meet somebody, I got to go find that Lutheran girl.
He was 5 years older. He was buying the alcohol for the party, so that's how I met him.
So did you meet him when you were in high school or after high school?
Yes.
Yes, in high school.
I got married when I was in high school.
Did you?
I was 17 when we got married.
Wow.
Got married in September of my senior year.
Wow.
And had Beth in April graduate. 2 weeks after I had her, went back to school, finished my senior year. Yeah.
Yeah, so talk about like you and Paul. So you grow up in a Lutheran school. You have all of this upbringing, very, I would say, strict. I mean, I would say your parents were relatively, at least listening to him talk, relatively strict. And then
my dad was, yeah.
So do they have any idea you're like partying with Paul?
No. No.
Okay.
Everything my brother did, he got caught.
Okay.
Everything.
So you were just good at sneaking.
I was just way smarter than him. Sorry, Tim. But it's true. So he got caught at most everything, and I did not get caught. So even later, telling my parents some stuff, they're like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah. So foundationally, you had faith, but that wasn't very important as you got older.
It was always important.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just.
So I think I really, I know. The day I accepted Christ was at Lutheran. Right. I know what room I was in.
Right.
I completely understood God's grace and what it meant. So I know when that happened, but then going to the Holy Roller churches is when I really developed a relationship with Christ.
Okay.
And I don't think that I ever walked away from that.
Okay. So talk about that to the people that are out there saying, now, wait a second, Tracy, you went and partied, having sex, having kids. What?
She didn't say before marriage she had sex, or maybe.
Okay, I'm assuming.
She got married
I got married in September, and she was born in April. So
I'm assuming, and I'm not even saying it bad. I'm saying it as a learning curve for people, because there are people out there that do not believe that you can be saved and make those mistakes. That's all I was trying to say, is that there are a group of people that out there would say, nope, it didn't, regardless of what you thought.
Mistakes, but yeah.
But that's my point. It was a mistake.
I've never feared my salvation.
Yes.
Ever. That I had ever done anything that would take that away.
Right. That's what I wanted you to talk about, because that is not a clear view for a lot of people. A lot of people would have said, there's no way that you were truly saved if you make those kinds of decisions.
I think Paul, my husband, struggled with that a lot because he grew up Baptist and just was ingrained in them, do you want to be caught doing that when Jesus comes back? Like you could lose it if you were doing something.
Right.
And, I've looked at my brother-in-law before and said, it's no different what that person's doing than you talking nasty to your wife this morning. You think if you die right now without asking forgiveness, that's...
Right.
It's just not... I don't think you lose your salvation.
But that's not a view. That's just not a popular... I knew that's the way you believe, but that's not a popular view. Like a lot of people would say, kids that are going through high school who did develop,
It depends on if they really truly had a relationship with Christ to begin with.
But the point is, you did. That's all I was trying to say. Is I knew enough about your story to know that, like, that's what you would have stood on. Like, I had a relationship and I made some mistakes, but my faith or my relationship was vitally important.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's good for people to hear, to understand those things. You can make mistakes, and God still loves you, and still wants to be in relationship with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to ask that.
No, you're fine. I'm just intrigued. Like, why'd your mom and dad really get married at 17? Just because you were going to have a baby, and so they decided.
They never knew how old Paul was until.
They didn't know how old he was?
Well, no, not until I'd been dating him for quite a while. So then it was, they liked him by then. He's 5 years older than me. So we met when I was 16. So, yeah.
What was he doing at the time? He wasn't in high school.
Buying alcohol? I don't know.
No,
was his job.
Yeah, was he working
at the
around?
boat factory, yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't going off to college anymore.
No.
Yeah, right. He worked around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what made him think about, tell us about the experience of how a 19-year-old, 20-year-old guy decides, hey, that 16-year-old there, I want to start dating her. How did that work?
He was 21.
Yeah.
21.
I just don't know. You would have to.
No, you do too. He was
I don't know. He asked me out at the party, and
so it was at a party he saw you.
At a New Year's Eve party, yeah.
Okay.
Did he think you were older than what you were?
No.
Okay, he knew.
He was friends with a guy, and I was friends with the guy's younger sister. And so the two of them had a New Year's Eve party, and no parents at home, and so.
The funny thing is like now 5 years doesn't seem like that much of a difference.
It doesn't when you're older, yeah.
It's just weird in high school.
Then it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would you let Trevor date a high schooler?
I would.
How old's Trevor?
He'll be 23.
Yes, what if Trevor went and said, I found this senior in high school and she's hot.
I mean, I would, knowing my son, who my son is. Now, would her parents
that's the difference.
let him date? Because I would. I know his heart, and I know how kind he is, and he would be a great boyfriend for somebody. But I was just making sure I said that right. I just say what I wanted to say. Yeah. But because I know sometimes he's seen a girl and I'm like, yeah, she's 16, and I'm like, I would think it's okay. But if it was flipped, if that would be like Emma, someone wanted to date her that was that old, I'm like, that's not happening. I mean, I know double standard, but,
really?
But there's something to that. There's something to that, but I'd have to get to know the person anyways. But
people have asked me that.
I'll let them get to know him before I told them how old.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like guys that are out of school dating girls that are in school.
Yeah,
and I'm like, listen, the dating pool. This is what I always tell everybody: the dating pool for good men is very slim. So if you find one, even though he might be 4 years older, you might want to snag him, right? Because that pool of finding good men that got their life together.
Plus, we mature so much, faster than you guys. True. We need someone 5 years older.
Tracy,
where we're at.
Is that a real thing?
It's a real thing.
I don't think that's a real thing.
It's true.
What? Do women mature faster?
Yes. Yep. Even little girls, yes. All the way till you hit 40, I think.
So it's always better it's better to find the older man anyway.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, look at that. You had it all figured out back then.
I did. Didn't know I did, but yeah.
So what did marriage look like? You had a baby at 17, almost 18, or were you 18?
I was 17 when I had her.
Okay. Yeah, and then graduating, and then
what did it look like?
Yeah,
boy, I don't know. It was rough. Rough financially. It was hard. My mom helped a lot. I worked part-time. She kept Beth. So, I don't know. But it worked. Well,
just talk about what were some of the hardest struggles. Being young, married. Forget that you were 16. Forget that he was whatever. But what were some of the biggest struggles when you first were married?
Probably finances, probably.
Yeah.
So.
Just because there wasn't enough to go around.
Arguing. We argued a lot. The first year is always really hard.
That's what I say. Yeah. Did you think that when you got married?
Mm-mm.
Dan, did you think the first year was the hardest?
Yeah.
Wasn't for you, Jennifer?
Mm-mm.
His temper was, I think he thought that we would never fight. And he's like, I can't do this. I don't think we can fight. Yeah, really.
I'm like, you're a ghoul.
Yeah. He should have done some research. His parents, though, when I met him that summer, they had their 50th wedding anniversary. So they were like 43 and 48 when they had him. So they were older.
Okay.
They were as old as my grandparents. So I don't know that he saw them fight or argue as much.
Got it, because they had mellowed.
So he just kind of, he just kind of didn't think, it would be that way. So.
Yeah. That's why I think it's so hard. I think the years mellow you. I think in the beginning of your marriage,
that you used to fight about, you're like,
everything matters.
Why did I? Yes.
In the beginning, and then as time goes on, it's just like, really, I just don't think that's worth fighting about anymore. Like certain rocks that are, like, these are things we're gonna land on, but man, as you get older, it's just, I feel like you mellow.
You do. I think you just
not as much to fight about.
It's not as important. Stupid stuff you thought was.
Yeah. So did you guys? Were you going to church when you were first married? Like, where did you guys go in the beginning? Were you still Lutheran? Were you Pentecostal?
No, we went to Assembly of God then.
So you're still Pentecostal?
We got married in Assembly of God. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So were you running up and down the aisles?
I've danced in the aisles.
Yes! Come on.
Not run,
huh?
but dance.
Have you danced in the aisles at Life Church?
No.
Why not? Are you mellowed now?
I definitely probably worship. How do I say this? I don't know. More than some with actions.
So you're kind of
yes.
Yeah. Okay. You need to.
Now, Krista has trouble staying in the aisles. She likes to be.
Well, put her on the outside edge and let her go to town.
Go on up there.
Huh?
I keep telling her, go on up there.
Yeah.
The Assembly of God's where we went.
Where at?
At
Is there one here in town?
Yeah, there's one here in town. That's where we got married.
Oh, where's it at?
Right now, it's out on Taylor Street Extended. Remember where the radio station used to be out there?
There was a radio station in Huntington?
Yeah, there was.
Wow.
You go past Tires Park.
You know what she's talking about?
It's on the left, yeah.
Okay, so you knew about the Huntington radio station?
Mm-hmm. I've lived here my whole life, so.
Spend too much time in the barn.
I have not. I'm not from here.
Oh.
Remember that.
Yeah,
I've only been here 20
back
years.
in the day. It's not been here
back
for a long time.
Yeah. You're a Huntingtonian.
Yes.
You're the people that have been here forever.
Yeah. So then from there, we went to Union. We were at Union Church.
Yeah, how'd you end up there?
28 years.
Yeah.
Well, the pastor that came to Lutheran and was there for years, he kind of got Pentecostal too. And along with my parents and a big group of my parents' friends. So he left there and moved away for a while. And when he came back and became pastor at Union,
oh, really?
we went. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so you're like.
We were there then for years, and he passed, and we just stayed.
Because he was the pastor that long?
Well, we were there 28 years. No, he wasn't the pastor that long. He passed away. But we were there several years while he was there.
Right. Yeah, so as you guys started to grow in your relationship, so tell me how faith played in. Was it faith growing deeper? Were you guys growing stronger? Kind of, how did that work inside of your marriage? As you get older, did faith get, not the more important, but I don't know how to...
It always grew, it was always strong.
What made it stronger, I guess? Did you guys do
I think
devotions?
both of us growing up really wanted the commitment. We're really committed with our relationship with Christ, and always kept him in the center of our marriage. We did pray together, did a lot of Bible studies together with...
You did?
With groups, yeah. We did that. I've led...
So are you a proponent of doing couples Bible studies?
Yeah, I mean...
Okay.
I think that's a good thing. We had done had several groups and over the years.
Did the men talk?
Yes. Yeah. If it seems like when you're in a group where it's just 5 or 6 couples and you meet regular and get to know each other, yeah, we did. It can be really good.
Yeah.
And it's not always been people that we really hung out with and did everything else with, but we were committed to that group.
Right.
And learning together. So.
And you guys became leaders out at Union.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you were youth leaders out there, weren't you?
We helped with youth, and
right.
we did it sometimes when they were in between, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for years did that.
So at what point did, because, Chris has been on here and we've talked about different things. At what point did struggles, is that fair to say, struggles with your kids come in, or especially did it happen when you're out there, or did it happen when you were here?
You mean with Krista?
Yeah.
Or even Beth. Do you have a good Beth
I don't know.
stories?
Was Beth ever...
Beth gave us a few hiccups, but not as many as Krista. I think Krista just... I knew there was something going on with Krista. I just didn't ever know the extent of it. other people pray for years and beg their kids to change their lives and not be on drugs. I did not know. I suspected at different times. I knew they were going through more money than you ever should with what they made, but I had no idea. So yeah, that was a shocking day.
Yeah, no, so for me, it's more of so talking from the parent's side, because I think this is the hardest part as a parent, what happens to our kids, and how we deal with it, how we work through it, so
it is hard.
Yeah, so leading up to it, so your kids, and Krista said this, they grew up in the church, they grew up
going every Sunday,
yeah, going to youth, they grew up being a part of, all of those things. So I'm going to ask you a question that's going to sound bad, but I don't mean it bad. But this is what every parent asks: what went wrong? You know what I'm saying? This is what every parent says when our kids get in trouble. It's like,
for me, number one is I didn't control her friends. Number one, control your kids' friends as long as you can.
Okay.
Make sure their parents have the same faith that you have, and if they don't, then don't let them go.
Yeah.
Don't let them spend the night there. Don't let them be there. Do that as long as you can. I think that was our number one problem.
Yeah, because once that influence started, it's
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's a struggle. Like, what do you do, when your kids are like, well, I want to hang out with, and you don't like. Or,
I remember saying, oh, no, I know his dad, and he is blah, blah, blah. And they're like, Mom, you cannot judge them. They're nice. They could have changed. They're nice. But then I'm like, Paul and I are like, no, there's no way he's changed.
Right.
That's terrible to say. But, some of those people, we should have stuck to our guns.
Right. Because it's the same with dating, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think through the whole process of, like, who are you going to, when your kids are at home, who are you going to let them date?
Yeah.
So do you be like, well, you can't date them because I know their parents?
Yes. Yeah, you feel like it. If I had to do over some of them, I would.
Yeah.
No.
But again,
to me, that was the number one mistake we made. That was the most,
Yeah, because I think it's hard for every parent to say, we did everything we thought we could. And for you, because Chris has been on here, people know her struggles. But for a lot of us, we had, like, our kids make decisions that were like, and isn't this the typical response of everybody? That's not how we raised them, right? Like, that's not.
Paul struggled with it more than me. Like, what did we do wrong? How did we, but I never did struggle with that.
Yeah, but one of the advice that you would give to young parents who have kids,
looking back,
because I think that's become part of the problem today. It's just that I don't think as adults we're involved enough in making decisions for our kids.
And you're letting them have so many influences with sports and, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think busyness and distraction is the new babysitter for parents. And so if we're going to choose have direct influence or let other people influence, I think parents are choosing to let other people influence. Yeah. So whether it's way easier to
we're taught to accept everybody and everything.
Yeah. It's way easier to let your kid go, than fight the battle. It's way easier for your kid to go to the room and sit in their room on their phone. It's way easier to not engage in conversation. So we just tend to, I think we have to fight back and say, some of these things are just not okay. Like, they're just not okay. Like, being on your phone that amount of time is not okay.
I agree.
Being with those people is just not okay. And I think we're like, and I hear this a lot from dads.
People are afraid to say no.
Today, this is actually driving me crazy, because this is what I hear from fathers a lot today, whose kids are they're making terrible decisions. And the thing is always the same. Well, boys will be boys. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, so we all made mistakes. But here's one of the things I'll say. I made a lot of mistakes, but I knew my father did not agree with them.
Right.
And that was still something that was important to me. Like, I made decisions to drink, I made decisions to do drugs, but I knew it was not accepted by my family. Right. And so when you come to those places...
And you knew if you found out.
Yeah, no, you're going to get your...
Yeah.
Yeah, so the concept of... So when you come to the decision-making process of should you do it or should you not do it, to the people that are important in your life, at least you know you don't agree. Yeah. Today, as parents, we're just flat out saying... It's okay. We agree. I mean, it's not a big deal.
There's no consequence because dads aren't being the...
Do you want to participate in it? It's way better if we just participate together. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the new thing is let's just participate in the nuttiness.
My dad didn't do that.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I know.
The new way of... Or the same concept is, the reason we can't tell our kids to get off our phone because you're on our phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't sit there and say, you guys should not be on your phone as we're sitting there scrolling through, as we're sitting there completely distracted. And so we've kind of bought into, all of that stuff. So I think it's important for us as parents to not be okay with certain things. Now, you can't stop them, right? Like, kids can make whatever decisions they want. They can sneak out. They can do, but at least...
But if I find out about it, there's a consequence, Right.
But at least there's a line. At least they know this is not something...
Draw a line, I guess. They don't draw that line.
Yeah, right. I think that what you said is good advice of like, listen, it's not bad to say, like, listen, I think that's a bad choice.
I think Krista, the line was drawn. She knew the line, but
Right.
So sometimes you draw the line that's still, they just tiptoe over it.
Yeah. So how hard was it in that process when, in your marriage and your relationships, when you're watching your daughter suffer or watching your kids go through rough times? Did it bring you and Paul closer together? Was it a struggle? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
It brought us together for Paul and I. It's always hard to watch your kids struggle. She had her first baby at 17 too and got married at 17. So, I wasn't planning on being a grandma at 37. My plan was to be 37 and my two girls would be out of the house. And I'd start life at 37. But instead, at 37, I had a 5-year-old that I didn't plan on having.
Right.
And now a grandson. So life was just like, that was rough for me. It was rough when I found out I was pregnant for Connor. That was rough. I just felt like God pushed the button on the remote that said, rewind, do it over. But I barely survived. I barely survived to this.
Right.
And you want me to do it again?
Right.
So it was a struggle. But Connor's such a blessing. He was, such a gift. And Paul always knew we were going to have a boy someday. I always said, no. But God knew.
Yeah.
So it was struggle. It's hard to watch your kids always to go through stuff. But when I found out she had a problem, was going to rehab, that day I was mad, and I stayed mad for several weeks. I was mad.
Right.
I could have knocked her out. I mean, honestly, they walked in my house with playpens and tote and bags all packed and set them all down on the living room floor and said, we need to talk. I said, nope, not till your dad gets here. I walked out on the porch and called Paul. I said, something's going down, and I'm not talking to him till you get here. I knew something bad was going on. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, come now. So they walked out that day for rehab, and I was mad. Oh, I was mad. And, the people with them were convincing us that if you don't take the kids now and let them get help, they're going to die, and you're going to have the kids anyhow. And so that was probably the most profound words that I heard, like,
Yeah.
And it was rough.
Yeah, so could give people a picture of your life? Because, I mean, I'd love for you to talk through this. So I'm just going to give the abbreviated version, right? So you fight through, you're pregnant when you're 17, you get married, you go through the first year, you fight through that, you get to the place where, you're thinking about, you can see light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
Kids are going to be gone. Then you have Connor, right?
Yes.
So it's like, oh, okay, but I'm going to.
I know 5 o'clock come. I'm like,
Yeah.
where's your mom? Like, the daycare's closed. What?
Yeah.
We still got one here.
Yeah, but you're going to fight through, right? So
Yes.
you have Connor, you're going to get through. You get to the place where, Krista goes through rehab and you have the kids, which again, I mean, what a struggle, right? To be able to take it in, but again, you see God working and you see good things, but you go through the struggle. Then you get to the place of, okay, now we're on the other end of it, and Paul gets sick, and your grandson, like all of these things happen. Talk to me how you have not wavered in your faith, or have you?
I have not.
Yeah, so talk about that, because that is a big, I mean, you have been through what would have caused lots of people to doubt, to walk away, to be upset, to go another direction. So can you speak to our audience of people who probably have not experienced the level of grief that you have, but are going through times and are struggling? Like, what has got you through? Like, what has helped you through the process?
I think just with the realization that this is not our home. I never see this as my permanent home. When Paul passed, I know some people said, oh my gosh, she was in church like the next week. Well, yeah.
Like that's
that doesn't mean I didn't miss. Yeah.
No.
Doesn't mean I didn't miss him or wasn't upset, but I know this isn't my home, and I know knowing where he's at.
Do you think
how much
that,
happier he is?
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I do think that when it comes to grief, everybody has an opinion on how people should grieve.
Yeah.
Right. And I always think that's an interesting concept, because Scripture is very clear that we should grieve with hope. We should be in church the next Sunday, and we should be like, hey, this is, shouldn't be. But it is very, I don't know that it's even, like a lot of people, even in the church, would be like, I wonder if there was something wrong in their marriage, because
I know.
like she was, isn't that funny? But this is what people do.
There was someone here that said it. Yeah.
Yeah, that like, was there something wrong, because she acts like she's okay? And the funny thing
And I
is,
knew I would be okay.
But that's my point. My point is, we're supposed to be okay, right? Death is not supposed to devastate us, right? Like, yeah, we're gonna miss him, and yes, it's gonna hurt, but isn't this the whole reason that we have hope?
Yeah.
But it's not seen that way, right? Even inside of the church, I think there's a lot of people that would say, like, "Hey,
I told him,
what happened to Tracy?
I will be okay. I will be okay." And he said, "I just want you to be happy." And I said, "I will be okay. I'm going to miss you, but I'll be okay."
Right.
And people tell me all the time, "You're so strong." That's probably the worst thing to say to someone. I mean, that to me, that's my top number one irritation.
Is it really?
Don't tell me I'm so strong. You're so strong. You're so strong. Why? Because I'm surviving this? Why? Because I've lived through it and didn't fall apart and I'm not in a puddle somewhere? It doesn't mean I'm strong because the God in me is strong. Not me. I'm not strong.
Yeah.
And then losing Carson like 5 months after Paul was just devastating. I feel like all grief was put on hold because now I need to try to help my daughter and my grandchildren survive this horrible thing we're going through this year. And so I really feel like the last 3 months have been the hardest grief-wise for me over Carson.
These last 3 months?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I don't know. I think
because you're finally getting a chance to
I think
grieve?
I'm finally getting the chance to think of him and process. And yeah, it's been rough some days.
Because
I don't know, that's something, the only thing I can come to the conclusion is I have shoved it down and pushed it aside because my goal is to make sure everybody else is okay.
And you
can stuff grief for a long time.
And he would have turned 21 this year, right?
20.
Just 20? Okay. Because I thought maybe it was a milestone birthday. Maybe that was something
Yeah,
that kind
20
of
May
like...
1st.
Okay.
It would have been 20, yeah.
Yeah, but don't you think that that's just... I just think that's a reality of grief.
Yes.
Like, I think the funny thing about grief is grief never goes away.
No, it doesn't.
You know,
And
I
I know that. I mean, it's not going to go away. And how people say it comes in waves, that's the perfect way to say it. You know, it calms and, you know, but it never, it can hit you again. Just thoughts of the day it happened can consume you on any given time. And then, you know, you just try to shove it down.
Right.
But, yeah, sometimes you have to sit and think through it and process it to
Yeah, and I think...
keep moving forward, I think.
I think God knows.
Yeah.
I think he knows when it's time that we can process it.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that he guards our heart.
Yes.
Like, I do think that there are times that, like, I need for you today to be present here, so I'm going to guard your heart, and I'm going to give you the strength to be able to keep going. And I don't think it's a, you know, because sometimes people see grief as, like, because you push on, is you're forgetting, and you don't care, and you're just stuffing it all. And it's really not true. I think God gives you the ability to move forward when you need to move forward, and when you need to grieve, he gives you the chance to grieve. But I think he does it in the time that he sees you, that he knows you. Like, he knows those times where it's okay, now you can grieve. Now's an opportunity to open yourself up, because I don't need you here. Like, I don't need you in this position anymore. I don't need this. So it's okay to sit and
I think seeing Krista at better at times, I think she's in a good spot right now. Things are good. She's, that's when I'm allowed to think more on myself. Because you always are wanting to be there and do for your kids. And, you know, I can't be all in grief when and down when she is.
right.
So I think that had something to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think those waves that come they come in the times when God thinks that we're able to handle
it.
Yeah. I think that there are just times where it's like, right now is not the time. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, at this moment, it's not time to think about that. But, you know, there's other times where it's like, okay, it's time to journey with me, you know, through.
Sometimes just thinking through stuff,
Right.
I did go to Grief Share.
And?
After Paul had been gone a year and Carson probably 7 or 8 months. And that was good.
Was it?
It was good. Just to read and hear a lot of things that people felt exactly how I felt, like, you know, was a good process to go through. So if anybody is thinking of that, I would encourage
How do
that.
people get a hold of Grief Share? Like, is it here in Huntington?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was being done in College Park.
That's what I
College
thought.
Park, yeah.
Yeah. Because I thought at the time, you know, they had brought flyers over here. There used to be flyers at the cafe for Grief Share.
Yeah, it was good. The book that you go through and the videos you watch were, I think, worth it for some people to go through.
Right. So as you're moving forward, see, because look at this, we're close to the end already. So as you're moving forward, how do you see God using you now? Because your life has changed a ton. I mean, I've known you from a pretty long time, you know, and, you know, you go through these.
I don't even know how long we've been coming here.
Probably
Long
10,
time.
11 years.
It's been a
At
long
least,
time.
yeah.
I've been here a little over 13, so you're probably...
Yeah, that's what I said. I think it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, to kind of watch your journey and, you know, how you and Paul and you guys at the church and the things that you've done and, like, just the seasons of the way that God has used you. But so much has changed, you know, in your life and over however many years that I've known you. And so as these seasons are changing, what do you see as the next season of your life? How do you see God using you in the next season of your life?
Yeah, some hard questions. I don't know.
And that's okay. I mean, it can't just be, I'm
know.
not sure. I mean,
I still leading a women's small group. I love to do that. I'm on a couple of Jennifer's teams. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, I think that, this is one, whether you liked being on this podcast or not, I think your story and the ability to help people who are walking now, it's not just losing somebody, but walking down tough roads, right? And trying to figure out that, and I think this is good for, not that it's wrong to cry, not that it's wrong to grieve, not that it's wrong, but I think it's a story that we should all pay attention to, that when we grieve with hope, we should not be in a puddle, and we should not be destroyed, and we should not be devastated. We should persevere and come out of the other side faithful. And I think, call it whatever you want, whether it's your courage, the courage that God gave you, or your story of calling on the strength that you've had to be able to make it through, because it is true that you have made it through, and that you've not only made it through, that, I would say that God has grown your faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah.
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 Because it would be easy to go backwards.
Growing. Yeah, it would.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It would be easy to sit there.
That's never been a thought of mine, and I thank God for that. I know Krista was angry. Even when we got to the hospital that day with Carson, she looked at me and she goes, I refuse, Mom, to let this change my faith. But then she did go through a period of being really mad at God, which is
still doesn't change your faith, though.
But she, so I knew she would be okay. It would take time.
Right.
And it's a process, yeah.
Yeah, but again, whether you want to, however you want to say it, it is abnormal for somebody to go through what you have went through and
I've never been accused of being normal.
And not go backwards, right?
Right, yeah.
I think it's fair to say that.
There's hard days. Some days, you just feel numb. Just numb. There's been many times I've got up and got completely ready for church and just decided I can't do it. I'm just going to sit in my recliner and do nothing today.
Right.
So to say I haven't struggled, there has been, times when I just, yeah.
Yeah, but so let me restate it.
But not to the point of ever losing my faith or not growing stronger through it.
Yeah, so let's restate it. It's not about whether we do or don't struggle. It's whether the struggle overtakes us.
Isn't that right?
And
it never
it's
has.
not. Don't we all struggle, right? Don't we all?
About something, yeah.
Yeah, go through something.
Yeah.
Okay, parting words of wisdom. You have any?
Oh, wow.
For
be good to your daycare provider. In case you didn't know, I've been in daycare for 36 years. So. I don't know.
Could you give advice to young moms about that? You have any advice to young mothers?
I don't know.
No, you don't have to.
Make your yes mean yes and your no mean no.
There you go. Perfect.
Period.
See? Yeah.
If you just stick to that, did you say no? Did you mean it?
There you go. Okay. So when this comes out, make sure that you like, share, or comment. So this will be coming out on Facebook. If you're listening, make sure that you go onto our YouTube channel. And while you're at our YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe so that you can see. If you don't know who Tracy is, make sure that you go on, watch, so that you can see who Tracy is, come up. I am pretty sure you're a second service person. I hardly ever see you at the first service. So if you're at second service, come. She usually sits close to the front. So come up, say hi to Tracy, encourage her in her walk and her journey. And again, don't forget that through like, sharing, and comment, it helps us get this story out onto other pages and to more people. And it's just great to be able to get your story out and give hope to all of those who are struggling and be able to overcome and fight through those things. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.